Ladies and gentlemen, welcome in. Today I'm going to be ranking every single college football logo from best to worst. Yes, it is another little tier list. I did one of these on just all the teams in general, how I think they're going to be in 2024. Now I'm just focusing on the logos, and it's just my opinion. Come on, guys, let's not, we all have our own subjective opinions when it comes to the logos. I will say, it's very warm out right now in my area. It's about 60 degrees. But I look at this, someone else put this together. What are we doing? Good and nice. That's the same exact thing, brudda. We're going to have to remove one of these. We're going to have to delete this, sir. So there we go. Excellent, good, meh, very bad, and terrible. I mean, very bad and terrible are kind of similar too. This will just be bad. Can we just minus that? Oh, I guess we can. Just bad, although I don't like that there's a space there. All right, there we go. So there's just five. There's five categories. We're going to go through this. A lot of these are going to be average just because they're basic logos. Air Force, I tend to think Air Force's logo is very clean. Again, this is subjective. It's just letters. I get it. I like the logo. This is not Akron's logo. Akron's logo is actually a script Akron. So I'm just going to leave that. This is maybe a secondary logo. We'll put it in meh. Alabama's logo is not this either. So their main logo is just the A. And it is very clean. I'm going to say for Alabama, excellent. Just the A. This was their primary logo from, I want to say, 2014 to 2018. I did a video recently on logos, so I do know a teeny bit about them. This is a bad logo, man. It's a bad logo. I might have to move that to terrible. Appalachian State. Arizona. I actually like the coloring of it. I like the coloring of it. Maybe it goes to good. We'll see. I'm not a fan of Arkansas. Anything that's like that kind of, just the horizontalness of it. I'm a big fan of Arkansas State. I believe when I did this in like 2022. I didn't do it last year. I think I had this as my best logo. You live and you learn. I've grown up a little bit. It's not the best, but it's a solid logo. It is kind of demonic. Moving on to Army. Very solid logo. I like the shield. Very well done. I like Army and Air Force. I mean, Air Force's is really bland. All right, we'll move Air Forces down. I was peer pressured by myself to move Air Forces down. You've got Auburn. These are all the A's here. Yeah, it is alphabetically. Next, you have Arizona State. Not a fan at all. It's too skinny. I understand, it's a little, but it's very hard to put in thumbnails as well. You've got to factor in the creative mind when it comes to something like this. Ball State is it seems like it's from 1995. And they just didn't upgrade it. This looks like a logo from the 90s and they didn't upgrade. It could be okay if they upgraded it. Baylor had a really weird 2-year period. I don't know if you guys remember on the ESPN app where the background of Baylor's logo was darkened. It was like a square. It was disgusting. So for that and making me suffer through that, this logo, it's very average, but I have to move it down. For whatever they did, they had a background and it was a square of green. It was really bad. Oh, this is elite. Boise State's I love. The Broncos. Boston College. Yikes. Yikes. Not a fan. We'll put it right there. Bowling Green had a rebranding. Very clean logo. It's not excellent. It's a clean logo. It's a solid logo. We're going to do something like that. Buffalo. Very bland. Right in the middle. BYU. You could say it reminds kind of retro, older logo. I'm going to say it's average. Colorado's a solid logo. I'll put it at the back end of good. Cal, I can't even see it, unfortunately. It's just a script Cal. I'll put it in bad. It is what it is. Central Michigan is very similar to Ball State. It just looks very old. It looks like it's from the 90s. This is not Charlotte's logo. Charlotte's logo is just a C. This is a secondary logo. If this was actually their logo, you've got the whole thing with the San Francisco 49ers. Maybe they didn't want to do that. I really can't rank it. It's kind of like Akron. These are secondary logos. These are not their main logos. Cincinnati, it's too skinny to me. It's too skinny. I'll put it at the front end of bad. Clemson, very nice. Love Clemson. It's probably up in excellent. Coastal Carolina, I do like. Yes, Coastal Carolina is another one. Very solid. Like the look of it. Colorado State is very ugly. It's just a circle. It just looks very simplistic and bad. Duke, it's like, the block letters. I'll just put these in meh. East Carolina, I like East Carolina's logo. Maybe a little bit better than, East Carolina's got a very nice logo. The Pirate, this is just a letter. What are we doing with this? FAU, I like FAU's logo, but I don't know how many should I put in good. You've got to be a little bit more. You've got to be a little bit more careful with these. FIU, to me, it's just there's too much going on with FIU. I'll put it at the back end of bad. Florida State, I guess you could say it's a circle, but there's a lot more going on than Colorado State. I like Florida State's logo. We'll put it at the back end of good. Florida, not a fan of the shape of it. Next, you do have Fresno State, back end of average, back end of meh, I would say. I don't know. There's nothing too. Fresno State's is decent. I'll move Fresno State's up a little bit. Georgia Southern, I don't like when they spell out the entire name. Just looks bad. Oh, this is a bad logo. Oh, God. There's just something ugly about this logo. The Panthers, Georgia State, I don't like that. Georgia Tech, I don't like either. I know it's like their historic old logo. The GT, the font is bad to me. It's too skinny. Georgia, I've got nothing against Georgia's logo. It's very similar like to BYU, honestly. They should go right next to each other. Hawaii, I would like to see like a palm tree or something tropical maybe, with Hawaii. I've got nothing against Hawaii, the program. We'll put them right there. Illinois, it's an I. What are you going to do? I like this. I like this a lot. This is a good symbol. Indiana, I like that. We'll put it in good. Iowa State, not a big fan of Iowa State's. Not a big fan of Iowa State. The I and then the state, you're doing a little bit too much. Iowa, very clean, the Hawkeye. I like the color, kind of the yellow, unique, exotic, the black in the background. Next, we do have Kansas State. Kansas State, it's decent. It's unique. I'll give it to it. Kansas, very nice. Is Kansas elite? It's borderline. It's got to be right up there. These are all really good logos up here. But this Alabama, it's throwing me off because this is not their actual logo. Penn State, I actually do like Penn State's logo. It's a solid logo. I'm going to put this up here. I moved Hawaii down. Louisiana, not a fan of Louisiana. Louisiana's got to go in terrible. Ragin' Cajuns, where's the logo? It's just letters, folks. Come on. This is not UL Monroe. Their actual logo is horrible. This is some secondary logo, but I'm just going to throw them in terrible. La Tech, you've got the state of Louisiana. I understand it. I like the colors. I do. No, this is actually a good logo. I'm talking myself into it. Liberty, kind of right next to FAU. Yeah, very similar. Louisville, very clean. The Cardinal, I like it. LSU, very hard to format when it comes to thumbnails. Yeah, I'm not a fan of LSU's logo. I'm sorry. It's just LSU. What do you want from me? Marshall the Herd. Love it. Love. Yeah, like these are very similar. I'm actually going to move, these are some good logos here. La Tech is a good logo. Marshall's a good logo. Maryland, it's a bully M. That's what I call it. It's just too big of an M. Memphis, it's an off-center tiger. Not a big fan of Memphis either. It's just the way the tiger is, Miami of Ohio, very boring. Maybe, we'll put it right next to Maryland. It is kind of the mini brother of Maryland, but we'll give it the edge. I don't know what that's not even Akron's main logo. Next, you do have the U. It's iconic. It's tropical. It's a solid logo. Michigan State, good logo. Very solid. Michigan, it's tough to rank. It's a block M. I don't know. It's got to be, you can say, oh, the history of it. Whatever. We'll put it in good. I hate this logo. I just think there's something skinny about it. It's, Minnesota. Missouri, not a big fan of Missouri's logo either. Not a big fan. Mississippi State, I'll say nothing strikes me terribly about Mississippi State's logo. I would put it in average. Middle Tennessee, very simplistic, very bad. North Texas, I thought North Texas also included North Texas spelled out, but not a big fan of that design. Kind of similar to Georgia. Yeah, actually, they're very similar to Georgia Southern, but at least it doesn't have the entirety of it spelled out. Florida Internationals is such a bad logo, man. I do like Navy's logo, even though the star is. I like the star, man. The star in the top right is interesting. It's a unique feature. You got to put Nebraska's got to be an average. I'm sorry. There's nothing to it. This is actually, I know people can't see this. You can see it right here above meh. This is Nevada. Not a good logo, folks. Come on. New Mexico, don't love this shape of it. New Mexico State, they recently rebranded, and I really don't like it either. I'm going to say bad. NC State, not a big fan of the shape personally. North Carolina, very solid. Very, very solid. Next, you do have Northern Illinois. I kind of like Northern Illinois' logo. I put it at the top of average. Northwestern, somewhere on average. It's a skinny N. I mean, there's so many letters. We should really just put all the letters together, honestly. I mean, how do you subjectively... I guess you could say, oh, the font is different. But it's like, Notre Dame. Yeah, Notre Dame's a good logo, but it's kind of boring. I'll put it at the back end of good. Old Dominion, this is not their logo, folks. This is some weird site. No, the sad thing is, Old Dominion has a really good main logo. This secondary logo, there's just way too much going on with it. Just way too much. And obviously, it's a secondary logo. I don't know, you got to have their main logo. Ohio State, it's very clean. I would put it very similar to Alabama. Just, especially with the S right there. Kind of reminds me of like Superman and the way the O is outlined and everything. And kind of the slants of it. It's just the symmetricalness. It's just very nice. Ohio, it's just, the Ohio is too fat. Not a fan of Ohio, the Bobcats logo. OSU, Oklahoma State. I don't mind the font. I like the colors as well. Oklahoma, it'll go. I mean, I do like it as a better font than Air Force. I will say that. Maybe we'll put, there's not much to it. What do you want from me? We're going to have to zoom this out again. There's still a ton left. My goodness. Ole Miss, it's just a script Ole Miss. There's nothing special about it. I am not a fan of Oregon State's. It looks like a beaver that is being starved to death. I'm going to put it in terrible. Oregon, the font is amazing. It just works. I know people say, oh, how does this go here? It's just a letter. Yeah, but the skinny font at the top and bottom, it works with Oregon and the green for some reason. Penn State has a good logo. I can't give them best, but they've got a really solid logo. I love Pittsburgh's logo. The script Pitt, it just works. The colors work, the outline, the yellow, the blue, love it. Purdue, not a fan. Purdue is too small, very similar to Middle Tennessee. Rice, it's like the Hebrew fonts. Yeah, it's doing too much for me. Rutgers, it's an R. What do you want from me? Southern Miss is just not good. I'm sorry. San Diego State, it's like they're trying to communicate to us. This is like a writing from the Bible or something with what's going on with this. I think it's a decent logo. San Jose State, very good. Actually, upper echelon. Actually, maybe up here. The Spartan. It's just the Spartan with the coloring is so, the vibrancy of the coloring, the yellow, the blue. I really like that. USC, very similar to Oklahoma. Where's Oklahoma? Very similar. SMU, the Mustangs. Like SMU's logo a lot. Although it is hard to format in a thumbnail just because of the tail. That was hard to format during realignment. Next, you do have South Alabama. It looks like this thing's eating too much food. It looks fat. I have to put it in. It's unfortunate, too. The Jaguar's gotten really fat, and he can go next to the Panther. I like South Alabama's a good program, but that's not a good logo. We're going to have to zoom it out again. South Carolina, there's just so much going on with this. I kind of do, it's just fat, but I do like it a little bit, honestly. South Carolina's. South Florida, not a fan. Just not a fan of it. You got the tree with Stanford. We'll throw it in good. I don't have any problems with Stanford's logo. Syracuse, it's a letter. What do you want from me? Texas A&M, Texas A&M, we'll put it at the end of good. TCU, TCU had, I thought another logo, they had a frog logo. The Horned Frog, that was a good logo. They were using that, but just the TCU lettering, I got to put in average. This is terrible. Anytime you have a block as a background like Baylor used to have for Temple, I actually don't think they have this in real life, do they? Either way, just the way it looks is so bad. The T, Tennessee, just the T, but it's iconic. I understand it. I like Tennessee's logo. Texas State, I used to like this logo. I've had a falling out with it. Put it in terrible. Texas Tech, not a fan of Texas Tech's logo either. Texas, You know, obviously the Longhorn, I understand. It's very hard to format just because of yeah, I'll put it in good because I know people will get mad, but there's just no, it is good. It's a legendary logo. Toledo, you can't spell it out, brother. Next, we do have Troy. I'm not a fan of Troy's logo either. It's a shame. They always have a good defense. Tulane, that's a very good logo. That's the upper echelon. I like Tulane's logo. The angry wave. Tulsa, you're doing too much, Tulsa. You're doing too much. UAB, I think it's a sweet logo. I'm not going to lie. I like UAB. UCF, I like UCF. I know it's simplistic, but just the way the font is, the letters are coming down, it's clean. UCLA, the script, that's a good logo. Gonna have to zoom it out. We're not even gonna be, I'm gonna have a microscope to see what's going on with some of these things. How many times do we have to zoom this out? UConn, it's very skinny. I mean, I like dogs, the husky. We'll put it in upper echelon of average. Houston, what are you gonna do? I mean, very similar. These are all very similar. I kind of feel like I should put these together. Just, they're all the same. What do you want from me, Here's another one. Kentucky, UMass. This is not UMass's logo, is it? It's not a good logo. UNLV, I don't hate UNLV's logo, but it's just average. Utah State, you got the U in the state, not a fan of it. Utah, very solid, I like it. I know they're trying to phase this out and they're trying to go with what's the logo that ESPN uses? Like the UU, I think is what it is. It's a bad logo. This is a really good logo though, with the circle, like the chief. It's good. UTEP, not a fan of UTEP's. UTSA, way too small. Vanderbilt, this is not their logo anymore, but I can understand why they changed it. The star looks pretty cheap to me. I understand why they changed it, but I liked the star because it at least signified, that's the only logo in FBS that's a star. So I do like that. Virginia Tech, for some reason I do like Virginia Tech's. Virginia, the swords, they're very skinny, but I do like the swords. Wake Forest, I love the colors of Wake Forest, but I have to put it on the upper echelon of average. Washington State, I've never been a fan of Washington State's. It's just weird how it blends together, Washington, it's a letter. We'll put it next to Michigan. West Virginia, you can say it's a decent font. I'll give that to you. This is, so they got this is Western Michigan. I don't know if you know their new logo. It's horrible. This is actually an okay logo. It's still not great, but their new one looks like a second grader designed it. Wisconsin, it's a letter. Western Kentucky, pretty cool, but very small. That's the problem. It just appears very small. And then Wyoming's very unique. I can't really say it's on the upper echelon, but it's solid. So that's kind of the rankings. I mean, you could actually move Army up here just looking at some of these. But yeah, that's probably the rankings. I feel pretty happy about the ones in the terrible tier. All of these ones in the terrible tier, I just have significant problems with. Certainly some of them, like Old Dominion, if they had their actual logo, I do like their real logo. It'd be like up here. Like there's a few bad schools that I think have good logos. Navy's is kind of, I mean, I understand people that would actually rank Navy down here just because it's, the star is a weird thing, but I like it for some reason. Bowling Green, yeah, so that's probably somewhere around where my logo rankings would be, just rapid fire doing this. But guys, that is going to do it for this video. Make sure you follow me on X. Link to that's always in the description.